I'm going to talk about orthorexia and disordered eating in the crunchy mom community, in veganism, and how both of those groups and skinny culture all funnel into the alt-right. So consider this your content warning and scroll away if this is a subject that you don't want to be listening to. I also want to make it really clear, I'm not an expert in this area. I am going to talk about my lived experience being a crunchy mom for many, many years. But I'm speaking anecdotally and off the cuff after several folks asked me if I would talk about my thoughts on this issue. I made a video which is pinned at the top of my profile about being a crunchy mom and the crunchy to alt-right pipeline. And that video got a shit ton of views and tons of feedback and comments from folks who were also crunchy moms. And many, many of those comments confirmed what I said in that video about how crunchy culture perpetuates orthorexia. And I said, well, that makes sense because there's the crunchy to alt-right pipeline, but also skinny culture is a tool of the patriarchy and white supremacy used to control women. So here's what I saw in crunchy culture, right? There is a lot of emphasis on right eating, on clean eating. And don't get me wrong, I'm a really big locavore. I'm really into growing my own food, focusing on, seasonal eating and, high nutrient content, organic gardening, making really nourishing, enriching meals. I'm definitely a self-described foodie. But whenever we have kind of rigid rules or expectations around food, it can create disordered eating. And also I think folks can artificially construct rules around food purity, around the cleanness of our eating in order to justify their orthorexia. So I saw a lot of this in crunchy circles, and it really upset me because I saw folks foisting what I thought were orthorexic diets onto their kids. Not just the Jimmy can't eat processed foods. I don't want him to have Cheetos and Snickers, but some really pathological behavior of I can only eat foods grown under certain conditions. My naturopath did some really sketchy food sensitivity test, which has been thoroughly debunked, but I don't want to look at that. That says that I'm now sensitive to this huge list of foods. I have to eat this very restrictive diet. And since I can't have these contaminants in my household, I need to also feed that same limited diet to my kids. And there was also a lot of if I feed my kid the right diet, then their autism will go away. Someone even suggested to me that a restrictive diet would help my child's dyslexia. I saw moms saying they were allergic to all foods except plain yogurt and chicken breast, and then posting loads of body checking photos where they wanted other folks to reinforce how skinny they were. So when there's an emphasis on pure eating, on goodness, on purity, it's really easy to see how that tips into white supremacy. It's not a huge leap from my food needs to be pure and clean. My thoughts about lots of things revolve around purity and cleanness. There's a lot of that in the vegan community as well. Obviously, I'm an omnivore, so, take what I say with a grain of salt. But I see a lot of the limiting super restriction of diet around pure and righteous choices, also getting really conflated with a lot of body checking and being really skinny. And there are folks in my comments who are in the vegan community who talk about how orthorexia is pretty rampant. And being a vegan can just be a way to cloak your disordered eating and feel really righteous about doing it. And the crunchy to alt-right pipeline, the veganism to white supremacy pipeline, those are swift and they funnel a lot of people. And when we as women are fixated on the goodness, the pureness, the cleanness of our eating, and that is coupled with our body image and a need to make ourselves smaller. My German grandma used to call it reducing. I need to focus on reducing. Our focus, our energy is on those things instead of living our lives. We are weaker, we are more tired, our energy, our bandwidth is given up. Creating these elaborate food rules to shrink our bodies, to make us weaker, more tired, malnourished, easier to control. Thinness, delicateness, weakness, being a damsel in distress. Those are all beauty standards of white supremacy. You should go watch my whole Damsels in Distress playlist on my main channel. I don't know, I would love your opinion here because I see the crunchy to alt-right pipeline, the vegan to white supremacy pipeline, both harnessing orthorexia, both harnessing thinness as tools to funnel women that way and then make us weaker and easier to control. White supremacy and the patriarchy, they love to work together. And let's just add capitalism into that mix as well. Selling us, diet plans, diet supplements, exercise regimens, gym routines, bad diet books, all kinds of ridiculously expensive, clean, pure foods. All of those things work together. And I know as a permaculturist, I'm always looking for the connection in everything. And I just see all of these things being tied in together. I think those of us on the left have been relatively ignorant, maybe more relatively naive about the ways that the alt-right has been really savvy at controlling and radicalizing people in fringe spaces. They have been sinking their tendrils in, entwining those filaments in all of those subcultures and sucking people to their side, indoctrinating them, radicalizing them, making them easier to control. And we have had no game. We've had no counter game. As I said in another video, the alt-right, they've had a long game and we've had none. And I think we need to get wise to these patterns, to these dynamics, and figure out how to address them.